to the Seattle Suckers report. Is that what we say for the Patreon? I always forget that we say something.
We can say anything we want now that we have buried Colin at sea, much in the manner of Osama bin Laden.
Exactly. And now with Colin gone, this show, which used to be a tight, orchestrated concept, is now like freeform jazz, baby. Which we're just improvising.
Yeah.
Letting it happen.
Yeah. From here on out, we're just gonna, you're gonna text me and be like, "You want to record now?" And we'll just riff,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So as you guys have guessed, Colin is dead. I am still safe from the coronavirus, but for who knows how long. And we got Gerg in Iowa at an undisclosed safe house.
Yeah, I'm actually in my car on the street in a West Des Moines neighborhood, taking a quick break. It's really the end of my door knocking day here, to call into my favorite Seattle-based podcast, Seattle Sucks. I guess I'll give you a quick update. Like I was saying on the main app, Trump voters are not really our focus right now at all. And personally, strategically, I think we don't need them. But I ran into two today and had two very different experiences. I knocked on the door of this very low information, pretty disconnected, retired woman in an apartment. This is this is not a wealthy woman. This is someone living off $200 a week in Social Security, and her husband, a retired vet, GI benefits or whatever. And we got to talk, and I went through the program, and she had voted for Trump, but thought he's a dirty liar, and she just couldn't. She just voted for him because he was not Hillary Clinton, essentially. And now she is committed to caucus for Bernie. So that is how it goes out here. She's probably gonna be getting some reminder. I got a commit to caucus card from her. She's gonna get in some reminder calls and texts, make sure we get her out there. But that was one. That's the good side of it. And next I'm going to tell you about the fun side. I went to a much wealthier development of single family homes, new cookie cutter, fucking ugly, barren development, and knocked on a door where I had as usual, like a name of a 20-year-old who is either the kid or someone who just doesn't live there anymore. I don't know, because as soon as this fucking mustached, tubby waddling retiree jiggled to the door and opened it, and I opened my mouth, he just started barking at me like, "I'm not gonna talk to you, get as if letting me get a word out would constitute a conjuring, a magic spell that I would turn him into a bimbo or something. And I insisted on, I'm of course standing there completely unflappable, and I continue to talk to him. I'm like, "Well, sir, does this blah 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 live here?" He's just yelling at me, and I was like, "Okay, well," and he's like, "No, no." He finally is listening, and I'm like, "Well, we will we'll mark that down that this person isn't here, so we don't bother you again." He's still just like, get off my porch, get in front. And I just told him, Sir, you're a very rude man, and I will be on my way. I will be on my way in the name of communism. And yeah, he slammed the door in my face, but that was fun.
Yeah. Well, he knows that you might use your big city ways on him and cast a spell, in which case he'll be able to correctly pronounce the name of Bon Iver. So he's definitely trying to avoid that.
Okay, well, maybe I should cast that spell on you, Brian, because you whiffed that one. Okay.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta take a swing at it and hope for the best. I
Yeah.
maintain my pronunciation's correct.
Oh my god. Yeah. So that's been my day. Of course, I've
Nice.
also signed up a bunch of people to caucus and even volunteer, but we're having a good time.
Well, of course, Greg, we sent you to this safe house in Iowa to get you away from the coronavirus. Naturally, you're our podcast's lone survivor, right? You take over the podcast in the event that me and Colin die,
Yeah.
to make sure it continues on.
It hasn't made it to the interior yet.
But the other reason why we sent you away too was that little did we know, but a mere 24 hours after you left the city of Seattle, it would collapse into a pure Mad Maxian chaos downtown. The dam finally broke, and now the downtown is the hellscape that I guess Como has always wanted it to be.
Yeah, well, that's really telling the way you phrase that, actually, because as of course we're talking about the shooting, a shooting downtown between two people that injured something like 7, right? And what's interesting, you said like this has finally become the crime-ridden, violence-plagued hellscape that Ari Hoffman has been insisting it is for 2 years. And what's funny about that is I got a text from my mom checking to see if I was alive because there had been a shooting in Seattle. And when I didn't respond in time, she made my sister text me as well. I should have said okay boomer, but I was actually kind of nice about it because I guess my heart is filled with the spirit of the movement we're building out here. But what is telling about this is that the fact that this is such a fucking huge story, like this blew up like it's this incredible thing that went down, like it's like it was a fucking terrorist attack. And we're talking about, it's a serious thing. It's awful that that it happened. It's awful that people were fucking bystanders were hit. But the fact that this blew up and is still now is dominating a lot of coverage and discourse in Seattle, pretty thoroughly fucking illustrates that, generally speaking, there is no fucking crime in Seattle. Violent crime is a major, of this type that, this is the sort of sensational kind of violent crime that is sort of insinuated to exist and be a major problem by Eric Johnson at Como, Ari Hoffman, more obliquely, just this general vibe in the Seattle Times when they talk about the fear of crime. This is the kind of crime, that is hinted at in all these kinds of venues when is insinuated, when what they're actually citing is statistics about general crime that is mostly like shoplifting and shit, but it's always in this tone that insinuates that our problem is violent gang crime and like MS-13 drug cartels, shooting up safe houses and shit. And the fact that this is such a huge story, I think, and is so shocking here, I should say, in Seattle, is a case of for those people, for the right wing psychotic suburbanite shitheads in Seattle, this will be a confirmation bias like event for them, right? But what we can take away from it is like this clearly is, it's just so like illustrates that this is a major aberration, you know?
Yeah, well, it's something that they've desperately been hoping for a long time,
Yeah.
and don't let them ever convince you otherwise. But yeah, I thought that just to give you a taste, since you've been out of town, of what we're dealing with, because we're now starting week 2 of Full Scale Panic. I'm going to read some just bits and
Oh,
pieces from the
can't
Seattle
wait.
Times editorial board's editorial on it. Yeah, so I know that you tried to downplay this, but you know, from them, people cowered in a coffee shop, fled to the transit tunnel, or lay bleeding in front of the McDonald's on a gritty stretch of 3rd Avenue
Well, listen,
that's
I
been
mean,
problematic for decades.
yeah, listen, I
Wednesday's
mean,
mass
you know,
shooting.
that I'm sure that's all true is a thing. And that I'm not trying to downplay this event. You know, this is a scary thing. It's bad. A lot of people got hurt.
Oh,
Um,
sure.
it's just that, you know, in a city that had the kind of violent crime that is insinuated, when what we're really talking about is like trash on the street, um, this wouldn't have been that big a story, right? Like this would have been a one evening news story in you
Yeah.
know, the kind of dystopian overrun metropolis that we're led to believe. You know, that said, like look, it is,
What?
it should be a real story. It is big news. It's that it's going, the problem is it's going to be used in by like the reactionary element in media in Seattle as a confirmation bias event where they say, you know, it's going to be this thing that you can point to, um that means, you know, we need to somehow will be how the all the evidence we need to like deport all the homeless to internment camps and, you know, double the size of the
Mhm.
SPD, et cetera, et cetera. When I don't actually know anything about if anything has come out about the alleged shooters themselves or what the beef was here or what, but like anything else, like, you know, I'm certain that I would be able to find a way to connect it to our larger like structural social problems.
Yeah. When I think right in the first line at editorial too, it kind of gets at what you're saying, that this is, I would say, the Times using this event very cynically, which their very first line is that Wednesday's mass shooting in downtown Seattle should be a tipping point, forcing Seattle and King County to finally address the area's safety and civility problems.
Well,
So,
fuck me. I mean, there you are right there. Fuck off. God damn it. Okay, so finally address, as in, yeah, like I've been saying, this is this ongoing problem of violent crime, but then tying it in to wait, what was the sentence? It was what and
uh,
civility?
oh, there's the area's safety and
Safety. Okay.
civility
So
problems.
safety, and then you they give away the game by tying safety to civility. So what we know what they're really talking about is, yeah, is vagrants. You know, they're talking about the dirty homeless people who are uncivilized on our streets and uh are unsafe to be around, and this is somehow connected to that. You know, the civility thing really gives away exactly what they're trying to do there.
Yeah. Well, and I think one, my parents did not call to see if I'm okay, so they either are blissfully unaware this happened or don't care. But I will say it's probably they're blissfully unaware, because really in America, this is not really even a mass shooting event that would require news, right? Like,
No, I'm
just
sure
to give
it's
an idea
not.
of kind of where we're at. Like, it sucks, but like to pretend like you're living in some unique hellhole is really pretending, right? But I want to read 2 paragraphs back to
Well,
back for you, Greg. Oh, go ahead.
all right. Well, I mean, I want to say on that, like, yeah, it's that says it all right there. You know, if you could connect this to such that it is possible to connect this to our general wave of mass shootings in this country, should be evidence that it is a part of, to the extent that that can be done at all, legitimately, it can only be evidence that this is a part of larger, um, like, structure level problems in our culture, including specific things like our fucking gun culture and gun laws. So, but I'm guessing they're
Yeah.
not saying anything
Yeah.
about that.
No, well, I'll let you know what they're caring about here in just a second. So I want to read 2 paragraphs back to back. The first is going to be from the Seattle Times. The second is going to be from friend of the show who agrees with everything we say, Charles Medini. Okay,
Great.
and I think that these two just really are a great side by side, right? So this from the Times. The incident was the act of criminals with a brazen disregard for bystanders. But Seattle's political establishment shares some responsibility for allowing criminal activity along 3rd Avenue to fester and become a magnet for troublemakers. The establishment enables a justice system that allows criminals to repeatedly harm others with little consequence. City Hall hasn't adequately prioritized the safety of people downtown and in other areas with serious drug-related crime problems.
Okay, I mean, so this is broken windows, basically. This is
Well,
saying
here,
that because we have a general safety and crime problem, which again is not shootings that are happening on any regular basis. It's they're talking about homeless people and other fucking, quality of life crimes, quote unquote. They're saying that led to a shooting in this particular plagued neighborhood, the downtown area where everything happens. A hub for literally anything that goes on
mhm.
in the city.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
well, and I'll pair this now with Charles Bodetti writing or
yeah,
article on this. So he talks about how the one thing that you'll notice about this area at Third and Pine is that's one of the last areas in the city where like young black people hang out, right? And so he says, for years the city has tried to get rid of these young black loiterers. They've coded them as drug dealers and gang members. At one point, the McDonald's on the corner of Third and Pine even tried piping country music onto the street. When that did not work, it tried classical music. Much of the outrage directed at the yeah, much of the outrage directed at the shooting on Wednesday concerns the fact that this island of quote criminality or black youth has been permitted to persist in the first place. Black youth are no longer congregating at 21st and Madison. They have been removed from 23rd and Union. They are moving from 23rd and Jackson because of emphasis patrols. Why on earth are they allowed to be at the center of the city, the center of some of the most spectacular real estate investments in the history of the state?
yeah. I mean, that kind of says it all right there. I mean, uh, telling that a little telling that isn't is immediately the lens through which I looked at it, but I mean, I'm gonna trust Mudidi's take on this, that this is specifically a
Mm,
racially coded response here. That's really fascinating and fucked up. It makes perfect sense. I mean, this is it's the
well,
same thing we were just saying, but with a racial angle. And what we're really talking about here is the methods of gentrification. The
yeah,
crime panic, the insistence that crime is overwhelming us. Whether we're talking about the revulsion of caused by the homeless and the detritus of their like broken lives, or of just young black men like daring to live in the city and be outside on a fucking street,
yep.
just existing while black in Seattle. Yeah, I mean, this is a tool of this is a brutal and merciless like tool of gentrification,
Yeah, and for your consideration and for the audience's consideration, that was actually the second shooting in downtown that day, right? There had initially been an earlier one, and during the beginning of the panic that was being ginned up last Wednesday, people kept saying there was two shootings in downtown on the same day. Then it slowly came out that the first shooting was actually cops who were trying to do some sort of drug sting, and just started opening fire on a car in the middle of Belltown, just at like noon, in the middle of the day.
Awesome. So that's amazing. I had heard it was I had heard about that it was a officer involved shooting. I knew it was the cops that shot someone, but the fact that if, well, first of all, if it's a sting, something they set up and they end up shooting at someone, that means they have fucked it up, like,
Oh yeah.
badly. But what's funny about that is just like, I don't know. I'm painting a picture in my head of some dumb cops fucking up what they think is a brilliant drug sting and ending up. Did they kill anybody?
No, they shot some guy, I think multiple times, but he's
What,
alive
like
as far as we know.
someone who was involved in this, or what? Like, or just a bystander?
Greg, who knows?
Yeah,
All right. They shot a guy in a
sometime, so-
car, and I'm sure, according to them, he's a kingpin, and they've seen
Well,
us.
this is a perfect example. This is exactly that like epic quote from Sean Scott at that Spog forum. There's a shooting. Well, who was the shooter? Was it some unknown person, or was it SPD?
Well, yeah,
And
yeah. I mean,
now that, and what you're saying there is like, when before anyone knew the details, the hype
Mhm.
was it's two shootings. It's bedlam downtown, and now there was this one shooting, and
Yep.
never mind about that other one. Don't look into it.
Yeah. Well, and it shows that we actually don't care about.
Well, it's not a useful tool of this brutal
Yeah.
gentrification regime. In fact, it makes the police, the like foot soldiers in that brutal gentrification regime, look fucking stupid and bad and evil, and in a general sense. And the first one makes young black men and the others of our society look bad and evil and suspect.
Yeah, yeah, and it's good that you bring up the Sean Scott quote because one, this is it coming to life, but two, it shows
Like,
that
in a
that
day.
yeah, and when it comes to the editorial board and all these people trying to gin up a crime panic or whatever, they actually don't care about shootings, right? Like shootings aren't a problem, right? People getting shot is not a problem, Like when the right people do it, they don't care, right? I will say the true when it really hit high froth was shortly after the shooting on Third. The Seattle PD released on Twitter and their Facebook page as well, two photos of the supposed suspects, right, in this shooting, both of which were young black men. And that is when it really hit high froth, too. So, I mean, all the elements just came together, right, to show you what this is really about in the end.
Yeah.
Really fucking gross. I just want to give you a couple other things from this editorial, and then I think we got to hear from the man on the street here in a second. But I really liked this little bit from the Seattle Times editorial board. Workers, residents, business groups, and this editorial board have been demanding criminal justice reforms to address crime spikes directly and indirectly related to drugs for more than a year. That's weird. How come none of their council people got elected? If this is what people are demanding.
Yeah. That's fucking hilarious. Oh my god.
I mean, just unbelievable. And so their big thing is
there's no straw men in this situation, okay? Like, yes, people are demanding. It's just like some fucking landlords and fucking business owners. Like, I guess they're people technically, but to say that, And what we know, and it is a current, a reactionary current in the city generally, but we know from the last election that it is one that ultimately is small and is given a enormously outsized voice and power, um, even though they're small. And this is the country at large. Like, this is what
Yeah.
we were talking about on the last episode of these fucking people who elected Trump happily are maybe 20% of the country. And in Seattle, these people who are fucking obsessed about this shit, about, crime, who are fearful of losing anything of that they've just like accidentally lucked into in their incredible home values, and like the order that they benefit from. uh
Mm.
you know they're not actually that many people, but the entire system that is currently in power in government and media the default is to um cater to their needs, because they happen to be aligned with capital, with business, with the corporations in Seattle, with the landlords in Seattle. So you have this political current, this reactionary fucking gentrifying police state current that is really serves capital interests, that there are people who will also parrot the same shit that serves that, uh because they're dumb and rich, and uh you can find a handful of them, and I think it's probably less than 20%.
Yeah. And just to sort of close out on the times, yeah, I just want to kind of give a couple of the like just bizarro world, comments they make. Bizarro just to the fact that they're contradictory, yet, for the people that you're referring to, right, in your previous statement, this just hits their brain in just the right way. But they complain about, obviously an overly indulgent city council.
Oh,
uh
indulgent.
and yeah, that's their quote, overly
Oh,
indulgent.
you.
uh they complain that they considered defunding probation officers. Well, it sounds like they didn't do it, but whatever. But the main thing is they complain that they the pussies on the city council won't get the cops and the vigilantes down into these areas. But then immediately after complaining about that, they then say police responded to the shooting within 15 seconds, which tells me that they're fucking there, right?
Fuck off. Oh my god, that is so perfect. Yeah, but we know it's insane to say that the police are not in control of these neighborhoods. We're overrun with fucking cops. But I mean, even more sinister and disgusting than that, the indulgent city council.
Mm-hmm.
What a picture are they trying to paint? What they're saying is they're indulging certain criminal elements, unwanted populations, like they're very indulgent of indigent unhoused people. They're indulgent of black youth who they've allowed to remain on Third and Pine, while all other sort of traditional neighborhoods have been cleared and held for gentrification. That's fucking
Yeah.
disgusting. Like,
Oh yeah.
if you are unduly indulgent of something, the implication is that something is bad and actually needs punishment. So what they're
Oh,
saying, we are not punishing the least of our society enough.
well, funny you bring that up because
Fucking disgusting pigs.
so the editorial comes in. This also demands a commitment by City Attorney Pete Holmes and King County Prosecutor Dan Satterberg to aggressively enforce crimes related to drug activity, which they again imply, like all police do. that apparently that there is no, drug enforcement happening in the city. I will point out earlier that morning, the police literally fired multiple rounds into a car as part of drug sting. What more enforcement do you want, right? But so yeah, this is literally every bit as gross and like pretty much obviously like racist on its face
Yeah,
as any, and just like
absolutely.
and just like about poor removal on its face as any editorial that I've had to read from the 1980s about policing or anything like that. So progressive
Well, listen,
Seattle, give yourself a big pat on the back for
yeah,
that.
absolutely disgusting. But it goes to show, I think, the way that I think we on the like sort of the liberal left, for years have decried the ineffectiveness of the drug war, how we've
Mhm.
spent all this money at home and abroad, militarizing police and the DEA abroad and imprisoning all these people, and it just hasn't been effective because all this cruelty and expense has actually just put a lot of people in prison and damaged communities, and it hasn't helped people with a drug problem. What we need is, treatment and legalization and bringing people in society. And this is all true, but it misses the actual point. The drug war was never about getting people off drugs. It was never about shutting down the drug business, bringing down the cartels. It was always about uh, punishing and controlling and destroying the power of unwanted communities, particularly of Black America when it started to rise up in power in this country, barely.
Yeah, well,
And this is
yeah,
what this is that now. That's why you can see this totally incongruous fascist shit the Seattle Times is spouting that makes no fucking actual sense is because its actual purpose is just to continue the basic course of dehumanizing people and being able to heavily police them with the objective of killing them or locking them away in prison.
Yeah, well, and it's no coincidence that the drug war coincides exactly with the move towards, fiscal austerity and things like forced recessions in 1980 and things like that, in order to break the backs of the unions and stuff like that. Uh, there
And
was
of
this.
growing black power in America.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, there was radical movements that needed to be tamed. They were tamed through, assassination programs, through COINTELPRO, and then through mass imprisonment. And then simultaneously, I think they realized at some point too that they were about to create a massive unemployed population, and the solution was to put them all in prison.
Yeah, I mean, this
Uh,
is neoliberalism in a nutshell. When capital says we're paying these people too much, we need to break the back of labor, and as Paul Volcker said in the Carter administration, the standard of living of the American worker needs to drop. Um, yeah, you save capital a bunch of money as they're uh, finding their rates of profit declining. Save them on labor, but you create this other problem, which is uh, a surplus population of poor unemployed people who you have to do something with, and the solution is fascism. It's a police state, and that's the history of the last 50 years of this fucking country, and it's exactly what um, all this shit we've been talking about for 2 years in Seattle on this podcast and all of these fucking elections and this fucking right wing reaction to the homeless population. Yeah, that's what it's neoliberalism, it's fascism, it's repression.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, I think look, I'm sure people like to listen to our opinions all day, but the Seattle Times actually did us a favor and created a special letter section just for this event. so we could hear from the average man on the street
Oh my god, was it like a
about
full, like, insert in the paper, like, in color? Like
it was in color because it was all they wrote letters in and then
crayon?
they were interpreted by what's his face, their political cartoonist over there. He
Horsey,
did
David
a
Horsey.
yeah, he did a visual interpretation. Um so I just kind of want to we're not going to read through all these. I'm going to give you sort of the best bits and pieces of some of them, and then we have one special write-in that I feel like we got to give full attention
Is it a
to.
cop?
What's that?
Is it a cop?
Oh, Greg, it is not a cop, but it is great.
Okay. Okay, alright, I can't wait.
Uh, um, so the first person who is published, or the first letter they show, is from Shoshana Driver, and I just think her opening paragraph, it just really captured me. So, I have worked on Third Avenue since 1996. During this time, I watched Third Avenue become an open air market of drugs and stolen goods. Oh, if only, right? I have,
Yeah.
I have, I have witnessed shoplifting at nearly every store. Stores closed due to shoplifting. People defecate in the streets. People injecting heroin, and untreated addiction and mental illness. My suburban friends have stopped coming downtown. So, hell yeah. There's your thesis statement right there into your first
Cool.
paragraph. Yeah. You know,
I mean, just a lot of bullshit there. First of all, I bet she's never witnessed shoplifting, because it's not something really you tend to witness. Something people do, surreptitiously.
yeah.
We've discussed at length, I think, the myth of stores closing because of shoplifting. Anyway,
Yeah, I just
yeah, I
love
don't
that
know.
I just really love that my suburban friends have stopped coming
Yeah, that's so
downtown.
great. Well, I mean, presumably she is suburban herself and commutes into the city,
Oh,
and
sure.
whatever. I mean, yeah, she didn't mention that Third Ave also became a bus only street in that time. Uh,
Yeah.
whatever. All right,
Well,
yeah, dog, absolute trash. What
I
do you
will
got?
point out her friends moved to the suburbs to not go downtown, right? Too, so it's just a little disingenuous, I think. But all right.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get to my dude, Stuart McGee. This is a real everyman. I am the founder and an owner of Pacific Northwest Asset Management LLC, located in downtown
Cool.
Seattle. My wife and I are downtown Seattle residents. Criminals and thugs have laid claim to downtown, and Durkin and Seattle Police Chief Carmen Best have done little or nothing to thwart criminal activity that I or any other brave Seattle citizen can witness night or day by walking
Oh, you're
3rd Avenue
so
between Pike and Vine.
brave. Oh, you're so brave. You're such a big boy. Oh, you remain down there even though it's been ceded to the criminals. What's funny about that is like just goes to show that Durkin has absolutely no fucking constituency in this town. The
Oh no,
idea
she's dead
for
in the
running
water.
again would be absolute madness. I mean, holy shit. Like when a reactionary uh basically conservative Republican mayor who calls himself a Democrat, whose answer to everything is cops, gets shit on like that by the fucking right wing reactionary bootlickers, man, like you're fucked.
Oh yeah, and the big thing is because I've mentioned this about the police before, which I mean, she's done all sorts of like basically taking flack for Seattle PD, like really like done a lot of work to get them off the hook for not abiding by any part of the consent decree,
Well, since
including
before she was
before she was mayor. Yeah, yeah, and while mayor. But the funny
yeah.
part is that they fucking hate her, and that's the funniest part about the whole thing. Like
Oh,
they
I mean,
fucking can't stand her.
it's
But
well, I get, here's the thing. Yeah, this is this weird breakdown of our politics. It's almost like when it's this Democrat brain problem where you have these establishment Democrats in this city run as Democrats because it's a one-party town and it thinks of itself as progressive, as we might have mentioned once or twice. But they're actually Republicans. They govern as Republicans, but they govern, law and order fascism, but try to signal here and there and hand wave on some cultural shit, and be like, be the nice, the kinder, gentler machine gun hand. You're really appealing to fucking no one. I mean, your ass is hanging out on the right because you are this kinder, gentler hand, because you talk with a soft voice about law and order and beating back the criminals, and because you signal on cultural issues, and then nobody else fucking likes you because you're a fucking fascist. So I mean, like, just why does this fucking strategy and ideology persist? Why do these fucking people are still running the fucking Democratic Party? And like, she's the perfect example of this entire strain of Democrat that was groomed to be fucking prosecutors to then like rise up and rule us,
Oh
and
no, it's fucking amazing.
It's incredible to me. Like, God,
yeah,
dude.
So our boy Stuart, he does, conclude with, my wife and I are fed up, and we will not accept crime, fecal matter, drug dealing, or use as simply a quirky part of the downtown living experience. No problem, dude. Get the fuck out. You got the money. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, of course. Like, fuck off. But no, I don't want to accept that either. Nobody does. Just like when your only thought is fucking punish and destroy these people because it's their personal. It's just a coincidence that thousands of people made personal choices to fuck up their entire lives all at the same fucking moment, and they all had to shit at the same time in the same place. It's like, dude, people got to shit somewhere.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Oh no, I mean, it's just disgusting.
Fucking miserable fucks.
Oh yeah. There's later a person who complains that the homeless bring disease, and they are ironically from Vashon Island, the least vaccinated place in Washington.
I hope they get one of those diseases and die. Yeah, they bring disease and spread it amongst themselves, and they die on the street because they're homeless. Because they don't have access to homes or medical care or the things that prevent you from having fucking diseases. You piece of shit.
Yeah.
These people are the fecal matter in downtown.
All right. And so
I'd rather step in human shit on the sidewalk than look into their eyes.
Well, Greg, I want to read you one last letter before your head explodes. This letter is from one of Seattle's favorite sons. That's right. I'm talking Guns N' Roses bassist Duff McKagan.
The fuck? What?
Honestly, didn't know he was from Seattle, but apparently.
So Guns N' Roses. So he's really like, he's like a cool, tough dude, right?
Oh yeah, don't worry. That comes through in this letter. He is very tough. So watch out, street toughs. All right.
Oh god.
I'll also put out Duff McKagan is like infamously fucking like, or was a massive heroin user. So we're definitely gonna get a lot of let's just say a little bit of fucking bullshit there. But anyways, so I'm a lifelong Seattleite. I have a history of drug and alcohol abuse, but I have been clean and sober for 25 years. I got with the Union Gospel Mission and have visited the jungle and talked to the homeless on a few occasions. And I'm aware of the different hotspots of the city.
Oh, you took a safari. Fuck off.
First off, he was just screaming at every homeless person he saw, "Welcome to the jungle." But the thing is that I love this.
Oh fuck,
What?
that's the reason he went. Someone
Oh,
was like, "You gotta
100%.
come to the jungle." Someone invited him down there so they could say to him, "Welcome to the jungle."
Well, but I do love this because he begins by basically showing how he's better than these people by saying, like, look, I had a history of drug and alcohol abuse and I got better. And it's like, I
Yeah,
wonder if your tens of millions of dollars had anything to do with that.
yeah.
Like,
I was only addicted to heroin for, gosh, 15, 20 years, and I didn't end up homeless on the street, and but I want all these people arrested and put in cages because they are addicted to heroin. That's what I love. The people, the I'm clean and sober people now who have this reactionary outlook. It's always like, listen, I was on the streets and addicted to opiates, and I was shooting up with dirty needles for 23 years. And then I got myself clean. But these people haven't done that yet. So
yeah, on my schedule.
uh, and it's like I bet a lot of them haven't actually been. We read an article or something from someone who was just exactly like that. It was like, I want to throw away in prison these people who've been on the street for 6 months addicted to heroin, because
Yeah.
they haven't, because they made choices and I made good choices. This is why I'm clean and sober.
I could almost guarantee you that 99.9% of the heroin addicts in Seattle have been heroin addicts for less time than Duff McKagan was,
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm
B
saying. Yeah,
were
absolutely.
are
100%.
1/10 the junkie he fucking was.
Yeah,
So-
no, absolutely. No, because like yeah, most people addicted to heroin don't want to be. And I bet it fucking ruled for Duff McKagan for like a solid decade,
yeah,
right? Like, because he
Yeah,
had
it's
the
an easy
money
thing to
and the time and the lifestyle, like, where
yeah.
he was like, yeah, this is part of how I party,
Yeah,
and like,
yeah,
uh, so fuck you, dude. What a huge piece of shit.
Well, maybe we've been too mean to him though, because he's about to drop some knowledge on us.
Okay, all right.
All right. So I've spent the last 35 years traveling the planet and have become a student of how different cities operate and change over time.
Oh,
2 years. Oh no, you're gonna want to hear more.
He's been on an educational listening tour. He's been doing research, traveling around the world. What a fucking asshole! Fuck you, dude. Oh, I've seen other places. So, when I was on tour with Guns N' Roses, where I was probably fucking wasted out of my mind most of the time.
Oh yeah, one, like he doesn't remember half of that.
Where
And
I was
two, it's
taken
like
from bus to plane to hotel
exactly.
by my handlers, like,
Yeah. Yeah, when I got on the bus, when I landed at the airport, got in the van, and they took me to just whatever, arena named after the local pharmaceutical interest. We played a show, immediately got back on the van, back to the airport to plane. I learned a lot about the city in that time.
But in each of those cities, I got a very distinct vibe off of each and every room service guy that I've used to compile this theory about urbanism, which I'm about to drop on you.
So 2 years ago, my band Guns N' Roses played in Seattle. That's funny. That must have been some sort of secret show. One, one of our security staff took a walk to the health and nutrition store GNC downtown from our hotel and came back shaken up. In all of his travels, and we go to some.
He doesn't mention that he sent him out to get him stuff.
Oh,
so he didn't have 100%. To leave the hotel and go to a store.
100%.
Holy shit! What a fucking prick.
Oh yeah.
Wait a minute. He's a lifelong Seattleite who was staying in a hotel in Seattle.
Oh, yeah, you got it. you were starting to unravel the mystery.
My security dude, go do my shopping for me so I don't have to do anything a normal human has to do in their daily life. And then tell me what happened to you while you did that, and I will use that to formulate a theory of how cities work. This guy is fucking incredible.
Well, this is my favorite part that's coming up next, which is in all of his travels, and we go to some pretty bad
Wait,
cities.
I thought it was Duff's travels we were talking about. We started this fucking shit. It was around his travels. Now we're talking about. Oh, see, my cousin, my cousin, the security guard, man, he gets laid in every city in the world.
Well, unfortunately for Duff, he didn't venture out into the city, so he didn't get to have a Seattle experience. Only the security guard buying his GNC protein shakes was able to have the urban experience. But Duff did it all the other cities, so we're good.
He's got to have his right, balance of nutrients before he goes on and does a set.
Yeah, exactly. So in all of his travels, and we go to some pretty bad cities, he'd never seen anything like downtown Seattle. And this particular individual is a large and very physically able man who served in the...
I am a fey dork.
No, it gets better. Large and very physically able man who served in the U.S. Army Special Forces. So he was an operator, dude.
An operator on the team. Hell yeah.
He was an operator, and the homeless were just launching fucking rocket propelled grenades at him like Mogadishu. And he was just like, no, it's happening again. Jumping behind dumpsters.
Don't go out there. Don't go out there. You'll get PTSD like I have. It's like the rock out there.
I mean, this has every element of a fucking lie.
Oh my god. He's not even really trying to lie though, because he's telling a story about another dude. He's like, my friend, my cool friend did this cool thing.
Yeah. Well, your operator security guard is definitely the large adult son for guys in bands, basically.
My dad is in the Special Forces, and he says Seattle is the scariest city he's ever seen.
So, Seattle is the only city in the world that I take a knife with me downtown when I go to my gym or take my family to the theater or dinner.
Let me get this straight. I guess he does live in Seattle, so he doesn't have to get his knife on the plane. So when the tour comes through Seattle, they first stop off at his house. He gets his
Seattle knife. Yeah, his bug out kit for Seattle.
And then he goes to the hotel that he stays at.
Yeah. Because he's a Seattleite, so he has to stay at a hotel when they're playing here.
Yeah. In downtown Baghdad. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm just picturing him as like a real knife guy with this like very comical. He's just walking around downtown with it. Yeah, what a fucking dork.
I'm sure his like big like husky operator security guard is like, yeah. Oh yeah, that you should carry that to protect you, and he just like humoring him, like, like he's not gonna go anywhere without his big muscle.
All right, well, so he concludes something has to be done here. This is enough. More police. No open drug zone. I implore Jenny Durkin to make Seattle's downtown a place of safety. Seattle is my city.
More police to arrest addicts and put them somewhere else outside of society, like should have been done to me.
Honestly, when he says it like that, he's kind of winning me over a little bit, but I think we should do that to Duff McKagan.
Instead of having toured for the last many years and written this letter to the editor, Duff McKagan had just been rotting in prison for the entire 21st century. I'm here for it. Great. If I could go back in time and make that happen. If he was just languishing in solitary confinement on a drug charge, I think that would be fucking rad. And this would be a better world.
So I like this too, because finally his last sentence is just Seattle is my city, and it's gotten way past the point of being scary. So it combines the two things of the just completely
irrational. Duff, you are a fucking pussy. There is not a single block of the city of Seattle that I will not perfectly comfortably walk down at any fucking hour of the day.
Well, I will point out that friend of the show, Chris Pagero, was posting tweets of him walking around downtown Seattle, just tweeting, "Didn't have to bring a knife," like, yeah. Just, I mean, give me a break. But,
oh man, well,
but I love. I mean,
yeah,
but Duff McKagan, he perfectly encapsulates rich people's attitudes, right? In that Seattle is my city. When I go to my gym, all that.
yeah,
I mean, it's that. Why can't we just drop a neutron bomb on downtown and get rid of all the
yeah.
derelicts that I don't want
Well,
to have to
I
look
mean, the
at,
real
right?
truth is, I mean, he is a huge pussy. I mean, I'm not gonna, back down from
Well, that
that.
goes without
But
saying.
we actually know, like, what this rhetoric is about. I mean, it's childish and like it's dumb, but this is like, an idiot child making an argument. Um, because the real aim here again is gentrification. It's get rid of the dirty people, the brown people, the indigent people who shit on the sidewalk, because this is my city and I want it to be a pristine playground for me, rich guy, rich white
Mm-hmm.
head. But the argument then is, it's so, like, how do I get across that this is such a dangerous situation? I know. It's so dangerous that I'm a huge pussy now.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
It's so dangerous that I have to carry a knife around, this choice that I made as a giant fucking pussy. But yeah, it's just truly unbelievable, and coming from such just a giant piece of shit, like unfucking believable. But
What a
I do like
fucking douche.
that he worries about taking his family to the theater. Do you think he's worried that might have like a Cape Crusader son in his future or something? Like he's gonna get Batman in an alley? Because that'd be funny. But yeah. So sort of closing out here, we don't need to hear that whole page is literally just that tone over and over and over again. From literally not I guarantee every single person on that editorial page, on that letters page, is a fucking millionaire, and fuck them. That being said, don't fall for it. They're just ginning up fear. Obviously, nobody reads the Seattle Times, so it's not a big deal. But the Swedish strike that we talked about in the free episode is still happening this week, all this week. Make sure you guys go down and support them.
Hell yeah.
Also, they have fucking scabs working down there, and they're less than fucking human, and they deserve every awful thing that happens to them in fucking life. Never be a fucking scab. If you see any of those scabs, throw fucking things at them, shove them, do whatever you have to do.
That's really interesting.
I've talked to the Seattle. I talked to our lawyer, and she told me it's okay that I can say that.
It's interesting you say that. I wonder though. This is a conversation that probably needs to be had if we're going to actually start having labor action and strikes, if we're going to grow that as a movement. I wonder if, I think tactically shaming these people, yelling at them, telling them they suck for doing this is, maybe makes sense. But like at the same time, you got to think for a minute, like nobody in this country anymore even understands what a labor movement is, understands labor power, knows what a strike is for. So I can see a lot of these people getting a call for a job coming in, and even kind of maybe vaguely hearing they're coming in to replace workers who are striking, really just having no political education about this. So there may be, I know we usually take the hard line here, but I mean, and please push back on me on this. I'm just like would like to discuss this stuff at some point. It may be in a different paradigm when unions were very large and strong and everyone knows the deal, what a strike is for, that being a scab is turning your back on your fellow worker and hurting them and hurting their strike because, but I don't think we have that political education in this country. So this may be an opportunity to take those scabs aside as they come in and out of the building and educate them and like drop some knowledge on them without necessarily being too judgmental. Because I think this strike can still ultimately in this situation can still be effective, despite the fact that they got these replacement workers in. I mean, hey, if you can prevent them from coming in and out of the building altogether by, with a picket line, great. But spitting on them, kicking them, throwing them off a cliff, like, maybe when we've politically educated America about what solidarity is and a labor movement would mean, maybe we can wait till then for that. I don't know what you think about that.
Greg, treating them badly is educating
Okay.
them.
Yeah,
And
I think
so at some point they have to learn that this is a bad.
Well, I think
Yeah.
I think showing them that you're angry, that it's serious, that they are making them pariahs and making them ask themselves, wait, why the fuck are they mad at me? I think is definitely warranted. All right, man, I gotta go. I gotta go pick up Carl, who's just
All right,
getting
say
to
bye to
Iowa.
everybody. Yep, Greg's got to go back into his bunker. We'll go ahead and close out there. Greg, why don't you say bye and I'll close out the show.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, well, that's been another episode of the Seattle Suckers Report. Hopefully next week Colin will be resurrected like Jesus was and take over the show again so that somebody else can organize it and mix it and handle the technology. Basically do all the work, because I don't want to do it, and I don't think Greg wants to do it either.
You're here.
So Colin, yeah. So Colin, we miss you. We will be praying to the elder gods to resurrect you. I will be pouring blood into plants inside my house in some sort of sacrifice. Other than that, we don't have any new Patreons or anything like that. So do better as always.
Yeah,
And
well, thank you again to everyone who donated to the Send Greg Away Fund. Some other, donations have come in kind as well. But it's, it's paying for this rental car that's getting me and other people around. It's paying for lots of stuff that's helping people come out and be effective out here. So yeah, cool. Thank you again for that.
Yeah. And Bernie's gonna win. All right, guys. Well, yeah, we'll see y'all later. Bye.
See you later.